What's up guys, Striss here, and welcome to the next episode of the Dungeon Finder Challenge. In this episode I'm doing a dungeon called Wailing Caverns. I've already done this instance once already before I start recording, and that's why you can see that I've already completed the quests and I've already got some better gear. Here you can see I got a better shield and some new hands and nothing else. This is Wailing Caverns. As you can see, I have leveled up to level 19 because I've already done this dungeon, as I said before, and I earned some levels there. This dungeon took me about half an hour, so that's why you can see that the video is in fast motion. The healer is not wholly spec'd, which means that he is not actually suitable for healing, but in this level it doesn't actually matter if we have heirloom. That's the reason you can see me doing some self-healing with either flash heal or the Word of Glory. This is the first boss of Wailing Caverns. Her main attack is Lightning Bolt, and she also uses a spell that makes some of my group members go to sleep, so they can't heal or attack, as we can see here. As you can see, I'm doing some self-healing and trying to do everything I can to stay up, so I use Flash Heal and Word of Glory. I got a snakeskin bag drop from the boss, which increases my bag space with 10 slots, but I didn't get the bag, but I already have it from the other dungeon I did, so it doesn't matter. So now we are just pulling everything, trying to kill every single mob in this dungeon to get the most XP as possible. Tanking these dungeons can get really boring after doing it many times. I haven't tanked dungeons since Wrath of Lich King, because when it was Wrath of Lich King I leveled every character up to level 80. And when Cataclysm launched, all the dungeons and some of the quests have been changed. And here's another boss. He is actually really easy to kill. He uses regular melee damage and he dropped the shield that I already have. And here's the third boss. He uses chain lightning, which can be interrupted by using War Stomp and the shield attack, which silence the enemies. If you are watching these videos and you are new and you want to just know how these dungeons are done, or you are going to tank as a protection paladin, I suggest you always have a spell called Righteous Fury up, which increases your aggro from using all of your holy spells, which are like every spell you have. And you always have to keep this up. And then, as you can see, the top right corner, there's the spell. It was the one with the wings. And one of my members just left the group, and it was the healer. And as I said earlier, he wasn't wholly spec'd, so I'm actually glad that he left, so I can get a better healer. I do not recommend that you keep going if you don't have a healer, but because I got heirloom, it's okay. And just in case, if you are new to playing World of Warcraft and you want to start tanking, you will hear the word aggro much. Aggro means that the enemies are attacking you, and there are many spells that gives you much aggro, such as the shield attack, which hits more enemies, like 3 enemies max. And then you use like Judgment or Crusader Strike, which also gives aggro. And there is a spell called Hand of Reckoning or Reckoning, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but it taunts the enemy and it makes the enemy attack you for a few seconds. I still haven't got a healer, but I just keep going. And this can be really annoying when people just starts attacking, and it makes holding aggro even harder, because you won't get something called pull aggro, which you basically get when you start attacking and the enemies are attacking you. Now, right here is actually 2 bosses, the big boss you can see right there, and the guy at my far right. That guy. So his main attack is just casting lightning bolts and is very easy to interrupt. Interrupts are really important, because later, like in level 85, it's a matter of life and death actually. You can interrupt by using silent spells such as the shield, or you can use War Stomp, and later in the game you'll get a spell called Rebuke, which is interrupt for paladins. The spell only interrupts, it doesn't do any damage. Here is another boss. He doesn't have any good spells, he only used melee damage, and he hits more than every boss or mobs in this dungeon. And he dropped a staff, which paladins can't use, and I don't need the staff anyways because I'm a tank. And you should follow this path, just go behind the boss and jump down there. There was the boss that we killed earlier, who dropped the shield. And right now I went the wrong way. Some of these dungeons can be really tricky. They feel like... sometimes some dungeons feel like a maze. I'm not kidding. So right now there are many bosses in this dungeon. So we got 2 bosses left, and we are on our way to one of the last bosses. And as I said before, this dungeon took me like 30 minutes or so. And this dungeon is not one of the best dungeons or the coolest dungeons, because this dungeon is really long, and there you can see that I'm taking level 20, so now I can have a mount. Mount is something that you can buy from your trainer, because I'm paladin I can buy it from a trainer, or you can buy it from a mount vendor. A mount is a beast that you can ride on. I can ride on a Kodo beast because I'm a Tauren, and also I'm a paladin, so I can just buy the Kodo beast from my paladin trainer, and he looks a bit more paladin-ish. And by the way, this is the boss, and he is just like the other bosses, uses lightning bolt and makes some of my group members sleep. Really just doing the same stuff. Now we're on our way to the next boss. There were actually 3 more bosses, not 2. So now there are 2 more bosses left. The enemies can also make some of the group members go to sleep, but they don't do it as often as the bosses. It really annoys me that I haven't learned any AoE tanking spells yet, like Consecration, which I learned at level 24. 4 levels. And right here you can see that the Shaman uses Thunderstorm, which is a big AoE damaging spell, and I use Hand of Protection on him. Hand of Protection makes him immune to physical damage, and he cannot use physical damage, but he can use spells, and he can also be hit by spells. Now this is another boss which uses Lightning Bolt and makes my group members go to sleep, of course. But guess what? He can turn into one of those beasts, which actually doesn't do any more damage, so who cares? I'll just try to follow this path that I just went. And now we are on our last boss, and we have to go all the way back to the Tauren guy in the beginning to start the quest, or the way to the boss. And by the way, there are 3 quests here. The one quest is to collect some hide from the raptors or the snake creature beasts. And another quest is to pick up some flowers, 5 flowers. And the third and final quest is to just kill all the bosses in the dungeon, which is really easy. This is the place where the last boss is found. Now we just gotta kill some ads first, before the boss spawns. I don't actually see any point of having all these ads, but who cares, more experience. So here's the last boss. He's a very big murloc, and he, guess what, also makes teammates sleep, and he just uses melee damage, and that's about it. It's a really easy fight. It may be a bit harder if you don't have any heirloom, but I think you can manage this. So there we have it. Wailing Caverns complete. I hope you enjoyed watching the second episode of the Dungeon Finder Challenge. I wish you a happy new year, and thanks for watching. And don't forget to comment, like and subscribe.